One of the things we don't talk about that often is Gen Jones. What is Generation Jones, you may ask? Generation Jones is the second half of the baby boomers. They take up the largest portion of the boomers from 1954 until 1964. Yet they often try to separate themselves out by saying they're on the cusp or a microgeneration. However, just a quick analysis shows this to be untrue. If anything, elder boomers would be the microgeneration, owning only 7 out of 17 years. Generally speaking, Gen Jones is the cohort of boomers least experienced the financial gains that came right after World War II that gave rise to the elusive middle-class narrative. They experienced almost nothing of the rebellious 60s before the 70s saw a further decline in economic growth. This left Gen Jones disenfranchised and alienated from their generation and the prosperity enjoyed by it. If you can think of the yuppies, these groupies who grew up with disco in the 70s and Reaganomics in the 80s, you are thinking of Gen Jones, a generation that took rampant consumerism to all new levels, taking out mortgages and credit cards in a race to own the coolest stuff. Think Sybil Shepherd and Bruce Willis in Moonlighting. The idea it was all about owning the latest things or keeping up with the Jones is clearly a Generation Jones theme. The sheer indulgence. You couldn't just own Pac-Man for the Atari. You had to have the actual cabinet-sized video game, as is the modern politics of envy. The idea that someone who is getting help, let's say a recovering alcoholic getting assistance, is gaming the system. The idea that the best way to change the system was to vote for the candidate who said the craziest thing and made the most outlandish promises. That being said, they embodied the consumerism and politics of boomers, but to all new levels. They also were reactionaries who tended to vote more conservative than their older boomer counterparts. Although the idea of Gen Jones has been around for some time, and they've always tried to separate themselves from the boomers, the theme for this separation has not been consistent in any way, with the exception that they have remained contradictory to the boomers. When boomers were mocked for being hippies, for example, Gen Jones regularly touted how they were more clean-cut and respectable. As of recent, though, it's been along the lines that they were the more open-minded, which isn't really in line with their conservative voting record. After all, it was Generation Jones that backed Ronald Reagan's Make America Great Again rhetoric in record numbers in 1980. In closing, Johnsers may have got a raw deal when compared to their older siblings, but they still had a lot more financial liquidity, greener spaces in the world, and job opportunities than Gen X and later generations, thus solidifying their boomer membership card.